Hi, I'm Nancy Garcia with Expert Boxing. I'm going to give you advice on the weight cut. All right, so most boxers, they have to cut 10, maybe 15 pounds before the competition. In order to lose weight, you have to put yourself at a caloric deficit. So you have your maintenance calories. Your maintenance calories are how much calories you need to eat to maintain your weight, but you have to burn more calories than what you eat to experience fat loss, right? Depending on how soon your fight is, you kind of have to do a little bit of math to see how much of a deficit that you need to be at. There's lots of apps out there that could kind of help you with that. MyFitnessPal is a good one that you can use. So a lot of times you need to drink a lot of water, a whole lot of water, because you're about to do a lot of conditioning, strength and conditioning work on top of your boxing. All right, so typically people lose 0.5 to 2 pounds per week. Athletes can probably do about maybe 2 to 5 pounds. It depends how much fat you have on you. The leaner you are, the harder it is to drop weight. For me, I try to compete year round, so I try to get as many fights as I can. So I already stay lean. I weigh about 132 pounds. Sometimes I'll accept fights at 132. Sometimes I'll have to drop down to 126. It just kind of depends. So on your typical diet, some people eat 2 to 3 big meals a day. And once you have to start, cutting calories, you're gonna have to kind of shrink your stomach up. So you're gonna have to do portion control. And on top of that, you're gonna have to eat a little bit less than what normally people would do for their fat loss. So you start filling up your plate. Whole foods is your best bet. If you can have your chicken, your steak, and then have your vegetables, and then carbs are also important. You can kind of time your carbs. So typically, if I'm dropping weight, I'm not gonna eat a lot of carbs because, carbs is your #1 fuel for energy, but you can also retain a lot of water when you eat carbs, and then you can also go overboard and you won't experience it, your fat loss won't be as effective. So if you could kind of cut out your carbs and eat them right before practice, about 2 hours before, then you can kind of fuel yourself during your endurance training. And then afterwards, salads. So my best bet is you could do like a protein shake, so a protein shake that has protein and carbs. And then like for breakfast, and then lunch, you'll have a little bit bigger meal because typically after lunch, 3 hours later, you're gonna be going through your training. Once you're finished with your training, you get home, have a salad, all right? And then also throughout the day, drink a lot of water, just a ton of water. Once it gets closer to fight time, about a week before, you gotta really cut down. So by that time, your stomach's already gonna be smaller. You're not gonna have as much cravings, because it usually takes about 2 weeks. The moment that you start cutting, you start thinking about all the food that you can't eat, and that's the mental part. The hardest part of dieting is the mental part of things. So, after that 2-week period, you kind of get used to it. You adapt to what you're eating, and then you start to feel a little bit more energized too. Your body gets used to it. And then a week before, you gotta start wearing a sauna suit. I highly recommend a sauna suit. Sauna suits don't really help you lose weight, you lose water weight. So that's what you need to do. You kind of dry yourself out a week before competition. You'll wear that sauna suit, you'll start to realize you sweat a ton. And you'll just slowly, your weight will start going down. Right after, okay, let's say the day before you fight, depending on your weight, like if I have a pound, if I'm fighting at 132 and I weigh 133, I still have some wiggle room. I'm gonna eat some carbs right before bed. I like to carb up. Let's say if I'm underweight, then I'm gonna eat a lot. And I keep weighing myself constantly just to make sure that I try to fill myself with as much nutrients as I can the night before. Some people, that's not the case for them. If they're still struggling with their weight, then you don't have room for that. You just gotta have ice, drink a little bit of water. In the morning, go for a run. All right, so if it's the day before the fight, you have 3 pounds to lose. Sometimes, if it's like a small event, you might be able to get away with it. But let's say that if you're at a tournament and it's like the Golden Gloves or qualifiers, that's not gonna fly. You're gonna get disqualified. You're not gonna be able to compete. You trained all that hard work is gonna be for nothing. So don't panic, okay? What you wanna start focusing on is just protein. Don't even try, decrease your fat as low as you can and your carbs. I would just focus on the protein part of things. and you gotta run. You gotta run, you gotta wear a sauna suit, you gotta sweat it out. You start decreasing the amount of water that you take in. And the reason you wanna avoid carbs is because the more carbs that you eat, the more water your body's gonna retain, and it's harder to shred it. So it's important to stop eating carbs. The day of the competition, hours before, that's when you can eat, replenish, refuel. Also, Pedialyte will save you. If you could drink some Pedialyte right before your competition, that's gonna refuel you. It has sodium in there. Sodium's also important before your fight. You wanna have electrolytes in you as well. And yeah, just eat as much as you can. And make sure that you're not eating right before your competition either, because you don't want to fight on a full stomach. So right after the weigh-in, what I like to do is I don't like to eat really heavy food. Like, I'm not going to go have a hot dog, go get some Whataburger, even though that might be something that you want, but you got to avoid that. You don't want really heavy food in you. I typically go to sandwiches, and I'll eat a sandwich. Sometimes I'll have pasta, but I'll have a small amount of pasta. I don't want to. I'll have a variety. I'll also eat a little bit of fruits. The thing I try to avoid is having a lot of fiber. I don't want to have a lot of fiber in me right before a competition, because you're already going to be nervous, and you're going to feel like you have to use the restroom, and you don't want to have to go more than what's, normally need. All right, guys, that's all the advice I have for you for your pre-meals before competition, and what to eat after competition. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Nancy Garcia. You can follow me on Instagram at Nancy_Garcia.tx.